This is Prophet Eric Seal bringing to you a word concerning the times that we are in today. This is a prophecy concerning the house of the harlot, or also known as the false religious system. Okay, this is what the Lord has to say concerning these things. The harlot's blasphemies are to come to an end, and the grace of the truth of God shall be heard by those who have languished in the mire of false teachings. Many who have heard the lies of the harlot and her offspring shall see that they have become as dead men, as their souls are emaciated and void of the grace and truth of God, for the regeneration of their souls and the renewing of their minds. God's truth is now being made known by the voice of the one who is now crying in the wilderness, of teachers who have built up of themselves temples of lies in which they slay the souls of men, preaching doctrines of devils that appeal to man's pride and aspirations. As you will join yourselves to the ones who cry aloud and spare not, until you do, you shall wander in the desert that is barren of God's truth, being barren of the true living apostles and prophets who build on the foundation of God's grace and truth. So woe unto the house who are in the house, and those of that house, of the harlot that bears the name of Christ in vain, who takes God's name in vain through false doctrines. The harlot and her offspring that blasphemes the name of Christ with their doctrines of unrighteousness and heresies. For this is the word of the Lord to the harlot. Take away your praise from me from your lips, for you will not listen to my words spoken by my apostles and prophets, and I have warned you of my judgment and my wrath to come. Yet you say the way of the Lord is not fair, for it is our way which we wish to have. For we proclaim that it is our way that is of God. Are your thoughts my thoughts? Says the Lord. Are your ways my ways? Says the Lord. No, you have given black for white, and white for black, bitter for sweet, sweet for bitter, evil for righteousness, and you have spoken and said that righteousness is evil. You speak evil of my dignities, and you say they are not my servants. You have continually reached out for the doctrines of devils and the doctrines of seducing spirits, to satisfy your flesh, thinking that you have the doctrines of Christ. You go to your temples, and you hear not the truth. You go to your homes, and yet there is no truth there. You go to your fellowships, and still you feast on the flesh. You choose to live in the famine of the land, and reject the whole lamb. You have become as the false ministers, choking on a gnat, and yet you would swallow a camel. I have spoken to you through my servants the apostles and prophets, and you listen to them as you listen to a musician who plays well on an instrument. You are entertained, and you enjoy the sound, but you submit not to my truth. And when judgment comes, and a pestilence is upon those who speak lies and slaughter the sheep, you will then say, surely we have heard the words of a prophet. Look and see that there is a divided path before you. One way leads to the other, and the other will bring death to your soul. I say to you to choose you this day whom you will serve. Will you continue to serve the harlot, who will be judged and brought low? Will you be a servant of the living God by joining yourself to living apostles? I and my house, that means me and all those who are within my assembly, will choose life and labor at the altar of Christ by being joined to the living apostles of Jesus Christ. For those who choose life and join themselves to the covenant of Christ by listening to the apostles that have life and experience the grace and truth of God. They shall have the regeneration of the soul and renewing of the mind, and they will be fashioned into the image of Christ, and they will no longer be joined to the bondage of this world, but will have the liberty of Christ, whose yoke is easy and light. They shall truly experience the joy of the Lord as they taste of his fruit unto life. I say to you this day, choose life. Know that this time is short, people. Come on. We have to understand that the days are being quickened. They're being quickened for the sake of the elect. Also quickening for the time that we're in. For the coming of the Lord is near, and the coming of God's great grace and power is soon to come. You need to understand we need to come together and work together using the tools of the covenant of Jesus Christ to build his spiritual temple. Bear witness to these things by joining yourself to Christ, by having the foundation of the gospel of truth and the covenant of Christ being laid within your hearts, by being instructed by true living apostles and submitting to the living government of God and their doctrine. This is the prophet Eric Seal saying, it's time for you to choose whom you will serve this day. You're going to continue to serve Satan and his lies through a false religious system, or are you going to come and serve under the guidance of God's true living apostles and serve the Lord? For more instructions, seek www.second8thweek.com, and there you'll find the knowledge of God.